Last week we talked about the investigation contingency, but there are 4 other contingencies that you should be aware of. Hello everybody, Steve Rifkin from Berkshire Hathaway. Welcome to episode number 9 of Real Estate with Steve Rifkin. Today we're going to talk about the other contingencies. Last week we talked about the investigation contingency, which is the most important contingency. They're all important if you have them. If they're not removed, you're not going to be able to make the deal. But once you get over the investigation contingency, it's a sigh of relief. And just to review, if you're the buyer, you can get out of the deal for any reason at all based on the investigation contingency, as long as you cancel within that time frame. So the other 4 main contingencies are the loan contingency, the appraisal contingency, the home of choice contingency, and the sale of buyer's property contingency. Let's talk about the loan contingency first. I don't usually sweat that out too much as long as I'm having good communication with the lender. So if I'm the listing agent and I'm representing the seller, the buyer's going to have a 21-day loan contingency. So it says basically they're going to buy this house contingent, they can get a loan, and they have 21 days to do that. As mentioned, I have good communication with the lender. I know what's happening all the way throughout. Before we even get the offer, I make sure I get a good pre-approval. If it's a pre-approval from somebody I never heard of, or it's a shady pre-approval, I send it to one of my lenders who I trust, and I say, look over these numbers, they cross-qualify them, and then we get a nice pre-approval for them. So that way I know that they're going to be able to remove the loan contingency. So I don't have to worry about that too much. The appraisal contingency, that's a 17-day contingency usually. It says that the buyer can get out if the house doesn't appraise. Usually my houses appraise. If they don't, I rebut them, and I've won every rebuttal, and the house has appraised after that. So I don't really worry about that, and I actually talked about that in a different show. Home of choice contingency. That is when the seller has not identified yet a property that they want to live in, and they say this sale is contingent upon us finding a property that we're happy with. I usually advise my sellers not to do that because they're going to lose some buyers. The only time I would really say it's okay to use that home of choice contingency is if they've already identified the property that they want to be in, they've made an offer, the offer was accepted. So basically then we're in escrow, and then we're not going to lose any buyers because of that. The 4th contingency, and one that I do not like if I am the listing agent, is contingent upon the sale of the buyer's property. So sometimes a buyer cannot buy another house unless they sell their house. So they send in an offer, it's contingent upon the sale of their house. As far as I'm concerned, it's not really an offer unless that house is already on the market, or what I like the house to already be in escrow. So if the house is already in escrow, then we know that this is a stronger deal than if the house wasn't even on the market yet. And believe it or not, I do get some offers of a house that is not only not on the market yet, it's a few weeks away from being on the market. So I don't understand why I get those offers, because I would advise any seller not to accept an offer contingent upon the sale of the buyer's property if it's still a few weeks away from going on the market. You don't want to tie your house up for all that time. You don't know where they're going to price it. You don't know the condition of the house, all those things. So I don't like that contingency. Those are the 4 main contingencies besides the one we talked about last week. So I guess there are 5 main contingencies. Most important in my opinion is the investigation contingency, because that is really out of your control. You do as best you can to control what you can control. But if the buyers want to walk out for whatever reason, they can based on the investigation contingency. The other ones, as mentioned, the loan, you make sure it's a good pre-approval, or you cross-qualify through your guys. The appraisal usually happens, and stay away from those other 2 contingencies. Steve Rifkin, Berkshire Hathaway. If you have any questions on contingencies, you have any questions on real estate, please call me at 818-917-8890. You can DM me, you can email me, whatever you want to do. I'm just happy to help. Thanks for watching.